This story begins with a young man on the phone asking whether the person on the other end of the line thought he wanted to go on a date. With a slightly irritated tone, he asks how the person came to that conclusion. On the other end of the line, Jasmine, our protagonist, is shocked when she hears the young man's words. She then tells us that everything started a few days earlier, when she went to a blind date group. In a bookstore, she was browsing some books when a book about cruises caught her attention. She reaches out to grab the book, but notices a male hand also reaching for it. Curious, Jasmine looks in the direction of the owner of the hand. She sees a tall young man in a white shirt who is giving attention to a girl on the other side who is calling out to him. Jasmine watches as the girl asks for his number and says she has been watching the young man since early on, and that he is very handsome. Looking more closely at the young man, Jasmine mentally agrees with the other girl. He really is quite handsome. As soon as the first woman leaves, within a few seconds, Jasmine notices that the young man is approached by another girl, who also asks for his number and asks whether he happens to have a girlfriend. Seeing the second girl leave happily, she judges the young man, concluding that he easily gives his phone number to just anyone. At that moment, Jasmine's phone rings, and on the other end of the line, a friend reminds her about the blind date today. Meanwhile, the girl who asked the handsome young man for his number realizes that he gave her a number that does not exist. Returning to Jasmine, she tells her friend that since she is going to this date in her place, the least she can do is show up to the next dates. The friend apologizes and tells Jasmine that she should take advantage of the opportunity to meet someone nice. Meanwhile, the young man in the white shirt seems to be paying attention to Jasmine while she is on the phone. Jasmine retorts to her friend, saying that she would rather be a rich, unemployed woman who travels the world on a cruise than fall in love. She adds that, on top of that, it is very annoying to see people acting in an artificial way at blind dates, pretending to be who they are not. The friend laughs on the other end, agreeing with Jasmine, and then, in a more serious tone, tells her that real relationships, or rather true love, begin at the moment we least expect them, at the moment we pretend not to notice and end up letting something slip away. Ah, that is so true, right? Our protagonist's friend is absolutely right. I feel that things related to love always happen when we least expect them. The scene changes, and at a prestigious university by the sea, the landscape is filled with boats and pink-leaved trees. Jasmine, a self-proclaimed introverted student, studies at Yonsei University. While she was playing her video game in her room, Jasmine receives a message from friends inviting her to a festival, but she quickly declines the invitation. Despite being shy, she had no problem expressing what she thought. Jasmine was never the type of person who cared about what others thought of her, simply because she never cared much about others. Even though she sometimes feels uncomfortable in certain social situations, she considers herself an intro cat, someone who prefers solitude over the discomfort of having to be in the presence of other people. The introspective girl had only one close friend, Kelly, who constantly asked whether Jasmine, being the introverted and closed-off person she is, could ever fall in love. Kelly's description made Jasmine seem more like the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz, without a heart and without knowing what love is. And although Kelly still felt bad about putting Jasmine in that blind date situation, she believed that things could work out. The scene cuts to the blind date, which was taking place in a bar. One of the young men present asked what Jasmine usually does when she is alone, and she responds bluntly that she likes to write. Even though she was not the best at socializing, she tried to do her best, and that was admirable. Even if, internally, all she wanted was to go home or do things by herself. Jasmine adds that sometimes she watches movies, does household chores, goes to the bookstore, and goes out for walks. Then the young man comments that she apparently manages very well on her own. Hearing this, she wonders whether perhaps she was rude in her answer. A little awkwardly, the girl says that doing things with other people can be nice too. Jasmine breathes a sigh of relief as the other people talk and laugh. The girl next to Jazz asks if the young men are waiting for some other people. One of them replies that yes, and that those people are nearby. Suddenly, a hand touches a chair and a voice apologizes for arriving late. Jasmine is surprised, her eyes wide open. The young man was apologizing while his friend asked if he had only just arrived at the place at that moment. The introspective girl then lets the surprise fade a little and realizes that the guy who just arrived is the same one who was handing out numbers at the bookstore. She watches him sit down and ask, in a confident tone, whether everyone there is the same age, right? The girl next to Jasmine answers yes, and that is why everyone is treating each other in a relaxed way, without too many formalities. Observing the scene, Jas thinks that the guy from the bookstore must be very smooth with the opposite sex. Then he asks what the people at the table were talking about before he arrived. The girl next to Jasmine states that the table was talking about Jas and how the introspective girl likes to spend a lot of time alone, and then about how Jas began to explain herself, saying that she does some things and that doing things with other people can also be nice. She asks everyone at the table if that about Jasmine is not cute. I mean, didn't anyone notice the girl's embarrassment? The young man in the white shirt who is at the bookstore laughs and says yes, totally. Looking at the girl beside her, Jasmine finds it strange because the colleague does not usually make this kind of comment to her. The girl notices that everyone is talking or asking embarrassing questions as if it were something normal. But then she reflects that this must be the main point of blind dates. Even so, some flirting and lines are very cringe for her taste. Jasmine starts giving examples, like the guy who first asked her a question clearly being eager to play some adults-only drinking game, or another guy at the table who is trying to force intimacy with another girl who is sitting next to her. Jas believes that acting naturally is always the best option, and cites as an example the guy in the white shirt she saw at the bookstore and who is now there at the date. While Jasmine watches him, the guy notices that the girl is looking at him and returns the look. At that moment, the other guy who had already suggested the drinking game stands up and says that everyone will play a game in 10 minutes. Jasmine wonders what his deal is with drinking games and whether, at some past event, he saw a ghost while playing. After some time, Jas was already starting to feel like going home. Noticing Jasmine's boredom, a guy asks if Jasmine would like to go with him to get some ice cream, and he agrees and stands up. When she stands up, an ice cream touches her hand. The guy in the white shirt asks her not to go because there is already ice cream there, although it is a bit melted. Next, she watches, with laziness in her eyes, the two guys arguing over her. After all, Jasmine already knew that old trick. She would only use the excuse of going to get ice cream to leave that place. What else would an introvert think? The drinking game had started and Jasmine was not very comfortable with it. The real reason she wanted to leave is because she is very unlucky at drinking games. After a few glasses, the introverted girl started to feel unwell. The black-haired girl who was at the event says that she has never seen anyone lose so many times in just one round. The blonde-haired girl tells them to go get ice cream because it could help Jasmine's head. The girl declines the invitation and says that she will stay at the table. The other two colleagues say that they will come back to stay with the group. Leaning over the table full of glasses and bottles, Jasmine wonders if it was not already time to go home. Then she hears a voice asking if everyone has already gone far away. When she straightens up and looks to the left, there is the handsome guy in the white shirt. While contemplating the guy, she wonders why he always shows up at the moment she is about to leave. Jasmine asks if he does not smoke. While fiddling with his phone, he replies that he does not and that he hates cigarettes because they are bad for health. The guy adds that cigarettes do not even taste good and asks why people care so much about that. But she stays quiet and thoughtful about not having asked his opinion about it. However, she also thinks that he is easygoing. The guy asks if she is okay. She hesitates to answer because she is still under the effects of alcohol. He notices and says, smiling, that she is still drunk. The guy says that she was all tense earlier and now like that. The guy remembers that hours earlier as well. She asked if her tone of voice had changed and that she said she would take another glass since she lost the round. Laughing, he says that even her voice became more nasal and that he will tease her about the situation the next day. Not liking the comment, she says that they do not even know each other well enough for him to do that. He corrects her, saying that he actually knows her quite well. Yes, that her name is Jasmine and that he memorized that information. The guy steps closer to her as if he were flirting. Then Jasmine says that she noticed that people like him do not remember her name. Laughing, he asks what she means by, someone like him? She says that the two of them are completely different. He asks in what way they are different. Jasmine thinks it is obvious, for example, the fact that he is very sociable and she is the opposite of that. But she answers by asking what his hobbies are. He replies that he likes all water sports. Jasmine looks at some photos and internally asks if he is a seal. Then she tells him that this is proof that they do not match. The girl says that there was no chemistry already at the first question. Jas says that it is not worth trying to get to know each other better. But the guy insists and says that if they try, they might find something in common between them and that she talks more when she is drunk. She agrees and asks what he likes. He says that he likes funny things and notices that Jasmine looks at him attentively. But then he continues and says that he likes cute things. Right after that, he shows her photos of his dog on his phone. Jasmine enjoys looking at the photos, but says that she needs to go to the bathroom. As she goes up the steps, she looks back and asks why he is following her. The guy says that he just wants to make sure she is okay and will not fall or trip because she is drunk. But he also asks if this is the right way to the bathroom. While walking, she stops and thinks whether the bathroom is even in the direction she is going. Suddenly, the handsome guy appears in front of her and says that he realized she is just trying to leave. Jasmine is left speechless. If she were a robot, there would have been a system error. The girl and the guy spend a few moments staring at each other. Then Jasmine simply walks past him, continuing up the steps. After that, she hears her colleagues' voices asking about her, and Jasmine runs to hide behind Damien. One of the colleagues asks Damien if Jasmine left once again without talking to anyone and without saying anything. In fact, the girl was just hiding behind the guy, who, it should be said, was tall, strong, and broad. Damien does not know what to answer, and the introverted girl continues hiding behind him. Discreetly, Damien asks Jasmine to hide behind the wall of the building. Turning back to the girls, the handsome guy says that he has no idea where that girl went and, moving behind the pillar where Jasmine is, says that he is going to make a quick call. The girls wonder whether Jasmine really left. Behind the pillar, Damien asks Jazz what she should do now and whether he should keep her escape plan intact. She answers yes, staring at him fixedly. Then he moves a little closer and asks what that nice smell coming from her is. A little nervous, she says that it is perfume, but it is actually shampoo. He asks her to leave something. Their left sneakers touch. Faced with the situation, Jasmine still thinks that she was doomed from the very first moment for none of that to work out. But right after that, Damien asks for her Instagram account. When looking at Damien's Instagram, Jasmine replies that she does not have social media. Damien is surprised and asks if she really does not have any social media at all. Jasmine confirms that she does not. And then Damien says that maybe something else will work. He shows the phone keypad and asks for her phone number. Suspicious, she asks why he wants her phone number. He notices her suspicion and can only think that she is like a cute, wary little kitten. Damien smiles and says that he was just curious. He turns and says that no means no. She looks at him intently and wonders if it is normal for people to exchange contact information at dating groups. Damien says that there is something else he would like to ask, but that he cannot at that moment. He recommends that the two of them leave that place before everything gets awkward. Meanwhile, the girls ask whether they should look for Jasmine behind the pillar or in other places. Jasmine hesitates and says that she is indeed about to leave, but does not know when. The guy asks if she is having trouble finding the ideal moment to leave. She answers yes, and he says that he will time it for her. Jas asks how he is going to do that. Damien says he can do it just by looking at the situation and says that they will run on 3. Dan starts counting. She asks if he has already started counting. Damien counted to 3, and both of them started running. While they are running, Jasmine looks at him strangely, and he says that she should look ahead. Jas asks why he is running too. He says that he is also going home. Still running, she says that this will make it look like the two of them left together on purpose. He says to let it go, that people can think whatever they want, and that in the end, was that not the whole point of the group? Damien asks Jasmine if running is not good. Jas says that it is exhausting. The guy retorts, saying that naturally running is not easy. Next, Damien says that he will continue in another direction and that he will calm things down in the dating group chat. She thanks him and says that she will return the favor in the future. The guy starts laughing. Jasmine asks why he is laughing. He says that she does not even have his number. The girl takes out her phone and shows the numeric keypad. She asks him to enter his number. The next day in the school lecture hall, Kelly asks how the dating group went. Jasmine's best friend asks if anyone liked her. Jas replies that a guy asked for her number, and Kelly freezes, speechless. At the same moment, Kelly says that he must be interested in Jasmine. The introspective girl says yes, but wonders if it really seemed like that. But Kelly still looked very interested and surprised. After all, it is not every day that an introverted best friend who does not like much contact with other people catches a guy's attention. Jasmine tells Kelly that they only exchanged phone numbers with no strings attached. Kelly asks what he is like. When questioned about this, Jasmine remembers the moment she saw Damien for the first time in the bookstore. She tells Kelly that he seems to like interacting a lot with the opposite sex, and that he gives his number to everyone he likes. Kelly asks Jasmine if she has a photo of the guy. The photo shows Damien in a park with his dog. Kelly says that she has already seen his name on a student app. Jas asks if he is famous. Kelly says that apparently his goal is to become a naval police officer. At least judging by the comments on the photos asking whether the handsome guy from the navigation department has a girlfriend. Jasmine's best friend adds that there are many rumors about the guy, and that Jas should be careful with men who might just be playing with other people's emotions. Jasmine can only think that this reaction must be because Kelly probably argued with her boyfriend once again. Kelly says that she will protect her friend, and the introverted girl can only think that the situation is not that serious. The girl comments that the guy mentioned not using Messenger very much and that he is slow to reply to messages. She even remembers that, at the moment she heard that, she wondered if a gap of 2 or 3 hours would not be enough. Meanwhile, in another place, a phone shows Jasmine's contact. Damien notices that there has been no contact from Jas since the day of the group date. Meanwhile, a voice in the background asks where the young man is going. With a mischievous smile, he says that he is going to have some fun. Jasmine appears inside a bus, holding onto a support bar and looking unenthusiastic. From afar, on the same bus, the guy watches Jas, overwhelmed by boredom. The girl has her left hand resting on a bus seat. Suddenly, a hand lifts the bracelet that Jas is wearing on her left arm. Damien says that Jasmine is wearing the same bracelet from the day they met. The girl turns and realizes it is the handsome guy in the white shirt from the group blind date. He says that Jas must really like the bracelet to be wearing it again. Then the guy asks if she is not going to sit down. She sits on the seat next to Damien with great hesitation, thinking that she is tired enough to prefer sitting next to a man she barely knows rather than standing. He laughs at the scene and asks why she is acting so distant all of a sudden. The girl says that she is just tired from going back to classes. The guy asks if it is about creative writing. While enjoying the comfort of being seated, she answers yes, something like that. Damien asks what kind of things she writes, which makes her a little uncomfortable. She replies that she writes something like suspense. Surprised, the handsome guy asks if she really writes things like that. A little taken aback by the question, she can only answer that she tries to do something within the genre. But deep down, she was indignant. Of course she writes suspense. How dare he doubt that? Damien says that he wants to see it. Coldly, she replies, no, that she cannot show it. The guy is surprised by the answer, but accepts it. Breaking the dialogue between the two of them, a voice almost shouting says, "You're here." It was the girls from the blind date group. The two of them come closer and ask where Damien is going. While Dan smiles at the girls, Jasmine thinks about what she heard about him having many female friends. With a bored expression, she wonders if he is not just the type who smiles too much. She concludes that he is, and that this is why he acted so friendly on the day of the blind date. In her photographic memory, she recalls a few moments from that day and how he smiled naturally. To Jas, it is not as if he did that only because of her. At that very moment, Damien notices that Jasmine has her head down. Meanwhile, the bus continued moving. Jasmine and Damien remain seated, side by side. She looks down and he looks at his phone. For a moment, Jasmine looks at the guy and thinks that she must have had a specific dream, because they were talking to each other. She keeps thinking about how unstable the bus is, but she notices how he is consciously trying not to touch her, which makes her aware of the same, and for some reason she feels that she should not touch him either. Jasmine continues, somewhat unsure of what to do, looking down while Damien keeps looking at his phone. She thinks that the situation is a bit uncomfortable and wonders what the big deal would be if their legs touched by accident. Outside on the road, the traffic light turns green. The shoulders of both young people are close to touching. As if she had predicted that the light would suddenly turn red, Jasmine's left shoulder meets Damien's right shoulder. And inside that blue bus, shoulders close, faces equally close, Damien softly says Jasmine's name while looking at her. Isn't love beautiful? Looking at him in surprise, she is internally a little scared. He stands up and says that he is about to get off the bus. Damien tells Jas to take care and not to doze off again. Before leaving, he asks the girl if she knows his name. She answers yes. Damien. With a smile on his face and about to leave the bus, he acts surprised and says that she remembers then. As he gets off the bus, Jasmine becomes thoughtful and does not understand the reason for his surprise, since it is normal for her to know that, given that they exchanged contact information. From afar, before going to the bus door, Damien spoke to a girl named Jessica, and the girl asked if his name was not Damien. Seeing the guy act that way made Jas think whether everything he had said to her up to that moment meant nothing in the end. Unexpectedly, Jasmine's phone rings. She has just received a message from Damien asking when she is going to return the favor. The girl has a flashback of the night of the blind date, when he helped her leave the place unnoticed, and she remembers that she promised to return the favor. Cautious, she asks what the guy wants in return. He replies that he wants to have coffee. Jasmine thinks then that maybe a gift card could solve the issue. But Damien insists that he wants to have coffee with her, which makes Jas notice that the guy is quite clever at picking up ideas in the air. The girl soon starts to think that self-confident people like Damien have everything they need, that people surround people like Damien without the latter having to make much effort to get that attention. After all, he is rich and very handsome, which is not bad if those advantages are used for the right reasons. From afar, Jasmine was thinking all of this while watching Damien go interact with some colleagues. In the situation, one of Damien's colleagues asks if he knows that he is a very desired guy. Damien replies by returning the question, asking if that fact was really that obvious. The colleague responds in surprise. But let's be honest, that answer was snobbish, right? Again, the colleague asks a question and wonders if the guy was talking to a girl. Jasmine was certain. Damien was the type of person she had never encountered before. For that very reason, the girl had no idea how to interact with him. She was thinking about all of this while talking to him through the phone's messenger, with Kelly by her side. The girl wonders why she is, so casually, replying to the charming guy. And then, a new message from the guy arrives, wishing her to really enjoy the festival. Noticing Jasmine staring at her phone, Kelly asks what is wrong. Jas replies that every time she is about to end the conversation with Damien, the guy proves to be faster in that regard, which feels strange to her. Kelly says that it is very observant of Jasmine to have noticed that, and adds that Damien must have a lot of dating experience. Her friend says that if they run into him at the fair, she should greet him. Kelly says that she has already seen many other guys from Damien's department flirting with girls in uniform and asks her friend to look at the example just a few meters away. But Jasmine says that Dan is not very good at flirting with other girls, which surprises Kelly. Changing the subject, Jas's friend grabs her by the hand so they can run to check out one of the festival booths. When they get close to the booth, a fortune teller asks Kelly if she has broken up with someone recently and if she is thinking about that person. Jasmine judges that, given the number of possibilities raised, the woman could have gotten at least one thing right by accident. Kelly confirms it and says that she and that person are taking some time apart for now. The fortune teller then states that the cards show a chance of reconciliation in the future. Impressed by the cards, Kelly says that Jasmine should also try a card reading. But Jasmine thinks to herself that it is a waste of money and time. Suddenly, the fortune teller says that Jas is a very cautious person and that she needs time to believe and open her heart, but that as soon as she starts to open up, the introverted girl wants to give everything to her partner. She becomes thoughtful and thinks that she would need to go on a date with someone to know that, and replies to the fortune teller with a certain disbelief. The fortune teller reflects that Jas also cannot trust everyone, and that she should always be careful in that regard, which makes the girl agree, laughing. After leaving the fortune-telling tent, Kelly asks whether Jasmine does not find everything the fortune teller said very accurate and true. The introverted girl replies by asking whether Kelly really believed that. Her friend says that she just chooses to believe. With her phone in hand, Jasmine's friend considers that she really should believe what the fortune teller said. Jas asks if that is because she may have received a message from the guy wanting to get back together with Kelly, to which she replies that the guy says he is nearby and that he wants them to meet. Jasmine tells Kelly to go meet him and says that she is fine staying alone. The introverted girl asks her friend if she is going to miss this chance. Very grateful, Kelly runs off to see the guy and says that she will pay for Jasmine's dinner the next day. Jas stays behind, wondering what it is about the guy Kelly likes that is so special. Watching Kelly walk away, she hears her friend asking why the guy had to talk to her at that exact moment. Thoughtful, Jas wonders. From an introverted person's perspective, why people cry and laugh over something like love. And so Kelly goes, with a facial expression that is a mix of love, hope, and apprehension. But Jasmine continues her reflection on how people, after a message, an update, and an intense moment, can later find that it perhaps means nothing. At one moment, happiness at full speed, and at another, just sadness. It seems that Jasmine is very much an all-or-nothing kind of person. According to her, if love is like a cherry blossom that withers so quickly, wouldn't it be better not to even begin? She reflects on this while holding a cherry blossom petal in the palm of her right hand. Although she remembers that it is because of people like that she manages to earn enough to support herself. Suddenly, someone calls her by name. It was a guy she knows she has seen before, although she does not remember where. She answers with a short, "Hi." He replies by asking if she does not remember him from the college blind date group, saying that he sat very close to her. After hearing that, she remembers him and wonders what his name was again. Her memory brings back the recollection that he was the guy who asked her about getting ice cream. He says that if she is alone, they should go out together. Jasmine replies that she is actually with someone. He insists, promising that he will not do anything embarrassing and suggests that they get something to eat. Detail? The guy does this while grabbing the girl's left arm. She feels pressured and says that she is indeed with someone. It is just that the people were supposed to talk to her at that moment. And perhaps like a divine rescue, Jasmine's phone rings as she receives a message. It was Damien asking why she was standing alone in that place. With a sense of strangeness, she asks whether, at that point, he was really a ghost. Damien asks where her friend is. She breaks free from the guy from the blind date group and looks back, trying to see where the handsome guy she saw that day is. He sends a new message, laughing and saying that he is not in the field of vision toward which Jasmine turned. When she looks to the other side, Jas comes across the scene of Damien sitting down, drinking some liquid while looking at her. Observing the scene, she does not understand. Kelly had mentioned that the guys from Damien's department were in uniform when they flirted with girls. So why was Damien not dressed the same way? Still by message, he sarcastically says that it looks like Jas was having a lot of fun near the guy from the blind date group. She asks him to stop laughing at the situation. The charming guy asks if she needs help. While she thinks about why he would help her, he messages that if she does not need it, then to leave things as they are. She says that it was not that. As if he were a fortune teller, he asks whether she is wondering why he would help her. While the guy from the blind date group kept insisting with Jasmine, she could only think about why this guy keeps chasing her. She looks at the message and realizes that is exactly what she is asking herself. Why would Damien stop what he was doing just to help her? He replies saying that he does it because he wants to. After seeing what he replied, Jasmine simply looks at him again and the two exchange a focused look. She notices that when their eyes meet, Damien smiles. Next, he asks her to go over to him and tell the boy from the blind date group that he is the friend Jasmine is with. Doubting the girl, the guy from the group asks if she is really with someone. Meanwhile, the introverted girl pays little attention to the boy's question and wonders if Damien is ridiculous. She is not sure why she left her comfort zone to be in that situation. After all, in her view, there is no justification such as, because I want to, for the circus that was set up there. Does Damien do everything without an apparent reason? Is he really that much of a good Samaritan? While she thinks about this, a memory comes to mind of when he asked for her phone number also without any greater reason other than mere curiosity. But one thing she was sure of. The excuse was ready, and she used it without further ceremony. As she walks toward Damien, Jasmine thinks that his company is less unpleasant than that of the guy from the dating group. At the table, the handsome guy waits for her, extending his left hand toward the girl. When their hands are about to touch, she pulls her own hand away as a reminder that, although it was a way out, being with Damien was not yet synonymous with comfort. As she loses her balance for a moment, he becomes awkward in the face of the situation. To help the girl, Damien holds her by the arm and her right foot bumps into his left foot. While looking at his phone, the guy says that she should have leaned on him. Removing his hand from her arm, he asks if she wants to leave with him now. All of Damien's colleagues who are at the table ask who the girl is. The guy says that he told them he had plans, then stands up from the table and asks Jasmine to follow him. As they walk away, Damien turns back and says that he has paid his share. Walking together, she says that he had no plans with her, so why did he lie? He simply says that he felt something interesting might happen. In a playful tone, he says that a certain person had promised to buy him a coffee if they saw each other again. While looking at him, she wonders how he can act so lightly, as if all of that meant nothing. She remembers that he acted the same way on the day they met. He appeared out of nowhere, started talking to her as if they were old friends, helped her on his own terms just as he was doing at that moment. And then she remembered how she had heard about being cautious with people who are too good in a very short time. With so many suspicions, Jasmine gathered the courage to ask him if she was part of some cult. Hearing that, Damien could not believe it and started laughing uncontrollably. She did not find it funny and said that she was serious. The guy said that he was not part of any cult, even promising that to her. Confused, she wonders why he is acting as if he knows her so well. While watching him laugh, she remembers that he said he had no greater reason to help her or to ask for her phone number. And when she stopped to think about it, the girl noticed that she knows nothing about him. Curious, she asked what he does. Recovering from his fit of laughter, he replies by asking if it is not too early to go home already, since they were going to talk about what he does. He asks her not to leave. Speaking about himself in the third person, he says that his name is Damien Charles. the handsome guy from the Department of Nautical Studies. While watching him talk, Jasmine remembers that Damien was student council president for all 3 years of high school in his time. The more they talked, the more Jasmine thought that she and the boy were from completely different universes, which, to her, made everything even stranger. Someone so different from her suddenly acting so friendly. Damien then asks how they had never met before. She replies that of course they did not know each other because she went straight home and he stayed a bit longer at school. He says that she is hard to figure out. The pair pass by a place where music is playing, and Jasmine asks why he would be interested in her. The charming guy says that maybe he is indeed interested in her. She wonders why he would be interested in her. Damien looks at Jasmine with a deep gaze. The girl wonders why he is looking at her like that. Continuing the walk, he says that she is very closed off, and that this sparked his curiosity. The guy says that he has talked enough and asks if it is not her turn to say something. In a playful tone, he then provokes Jasmine to speak by asking if she is really a good suspense writer. He adds that people say Jasmine always wins suspense contests whenever she enters one. Surprised, she asks where he heard that. Damien replies that he asked the girls who went to the blind date event. Trying to calm her, he tells her not to worry because he does not know the details. She thinks it is a lie and says, as if trying to pull out the truth, that he read some of her writings. The boy asks if reading just the beginning counts. He says that he stopped at the part of the kissing scene in which the character grabs the girl and pins her against the wall. Reacting angrily, she concludes that he had been planning that whole situation from the beginning. When she moves closer with the intention of shutting his mouth, he looks at her with concern. Jasmine is visibly uncomfortable and starts thinking about what kind of psychopath does this kind of prior research before a date. Noticing the girl's discomfort, he says that it is something she should be proud of and asks why she is so embarrassed. Still startled, she says that it is none of his business and tells him to stop laughing. He says he will stop laughing on the condition that she explains why it is so embarrassing to talk about what she wrote. Suspicious, she asks if he will really stop laughing if she tells him. He says yes. Jasmine replies that although she wrote that scene, she does not have real-life experience with that. After what the introverted girl said, he now understands the reason for her embarrassment. Changing the subject, she says that her legs are killing her. Hearing that, he suggests that they both sit somewhere and get something to drink. Jasmine can only think about how embarrassing that whole situation is and wonders why he is doing all of that. Damien grabs 2 cans of soda from the vending machine. The guy asks the girl if she does not like the kind of romance she writes. The handsome guy goes on to ask whether people do not write better after experiencing in real life what they describe in books. And the million-dollar question was whether she would not like to try, because this time he was being serious. Jasmine's somewhat robotic mind crashed. Reason: excessive flirtation pressure. The cards are on the table. What is going to happen? The only thing certain is that Jasmine understood about herself that she was not good at expressing emotions, so she would pretend normality until the situation passed. The shy girl could only answer that, yes, she had sometimes considered trying. Jasmine says that the performance earlier was very good, and that she wished she had someone to lean on the way Damien supported her earlier. Internally, the girl was panicking. Damien replies that she should have leaned on him then. He says that he would have pretended not to notice. Surprised by what he said, she begins to wonder if that was flirting and whether she needed to understand that. The unexpected might be happening. After more than 20 years being like a robot with practically no emotions, Jasmine had found her match. The girl's neurons were wondering whether that would not be too much for her to handle, but she wonders why she would ignore what she is feeling. Damien says that he is just feeling that something could happen. Maybe. She realizes that once again the guy is acting as if there is no greater reason. The boy asks her not to look to her right. Jasmine wonders why not. The guy whispers that to the right, looking up, there is a couple kissing. She is surprised to hear that. Then he asks if she wants to hear something even crazier. Damien says that both of them are wearing school uniforms. The girl asks if he is seeing things. The guy says no, and that the couple's lips up there are very close to each other. He says this while mimicking the situation with Jasmine. While Damien talks, she wonders if he knows how obvious his intentions are being. Jas keeps thinking that the boy knows exactly where the boundary line is and pushes it just enough to provoke a reaction from her, but he never actually crosses the line, so she cannot truly scold him. Then, smiling at her, Damien asks if all of that is too much for her, but she can only think about how much he stirs her up inside. Returning to the topic of the couple upstairs, the boy says that they are probably not high school students and that they may have rented school uniforms from some street festival tent. Right after that, Damien asks if Jasmine does not like things like that. Jas asks if he is referring to the uniforms. The girl replies that it is not her thing, while the guy traces his own leg with his right index finger. The girl adds that it seems childish. He responds with surprise. Jas thinks that everyone has an instinct to identify whether a person is a friend or a danger, but that he is a mystery because she cannot properly identify him, which to her makes him a danger. Going back to the couple and the uniforms that she says seem childish, Damien says that everything could feel different if they tried. Moving a little closer to her, the guy asks if she is not even a little curious about what the experience would be like with him. Jasmine remains thoughtful. Standing up from the bench where they were sitting, he asks if then it would be the opposite. Still reflective, she watches his hand pass by and takes it. Damien looks at her, curious. Then she asks that if she is curious, what will he do about it? Damien thinks about what Jasmine asked and then asks if she would like to go to an amusement park with him. At that moment, Jasmine gets flustered. The question about whether she was curious culminated in an invitation where something real could happen. But then she wonders what the difference would be if he went with her. She tries to correct herself by telling him that she was just curious about what would happen if they went to the park together. At that point, she tangled herself even more. The guy starts walking and replies that he thought Leona wanted to go out with him and that he had hopes that it would happen. She watches as he says random things again. Jas thinks that he should feel embarrassed too. Then she asks if he really wants to go somewhere alone with her. Why he keeps asking things like that. All Damien does is look at her while drinking soda. She is already expecting him to reply that he simply felt like it, with no reason at all. At that point, Do Soo-jung made a decision. He asks her if, in the end, it was not the writer speaking. Looking at him angrily, she can only think that if he does not know what he is doing, then he should stay quiet. In retrospect, we have that Jasmine, with the soul of a reclusive cat, was recently bothered by an intruder. Damien, with the soul of a golden retriever. Jas could not even think about how she would endure Kelly's stares if her friend knew everything that had happened up to that point. After all, besides Kelly, she had no other friends. Suddenly, she turns over in bed and remembers that she has another friend. One who could talk to her in a completely rational way, removing feelings from the equation. A friend called ChatCPT. She tells the chatbot that someone has found her weakness and asks what she should do. Ironically, Jasmine never liked being teased for seeming very robotic, but she communicated better with an artificial intelligence. The machine replies that the situation could indeed be very uncomfortable and stressful, and asks for more details about what happened. The introverted girl soon thinks that the internet pseudopsychologist is the only one who truly understands her. She says that she is writing a novel, but that she is quite embarrassed about it and does not want to tell anyone what she writes, but that they discovered the novel and made fun of her because of it. The chat replies saying that this can indeed be very saddening and embarrassing, but tells Jas that this does not determine her worth nor the value of the work she has done. The girl agrees. The artificial intelligence goes on to say that she needs to investigate why they are using this weakness against her and whether something seems suspicious. She wonders if it was something strange that she said. The girl then replies that, as strange as it may seem, someone asked her if she wanted to write a romance or try the romance scenes in real life. Why would someone ask that? Maybe because they want an excuse to give her a kiss like that. But hush, Lowell. The chat then says that she got to the heart of the matter and that the person may have been asking that simply because they wanted Jasmine to show a reaction. So Jas asks whether all of this is because the person was trying to be rude or inconvenient, or because her reaction is funny in those situations. The machine replies that the other possibility is that the person was just trying to express interest in a relaxed way. The chat ends by saying that different people will express interest in different ways. After all, each person has their own way of acting and expressing themselves in the world. The girl cannot believe the virtual psychologist's last sentence, because with so many people available around the world, why did Damien choose her specifically? She remembers the previous night when the tall, handsome guy said that he might be interested. Still searching for answers, she asks the chatbot that if the person is genuinely interested, what does that mean? To which it responds that depending on how the person approached her, what was said may have sounded rude. The machine says that if the person is not respecting her personal space and feelings, it may be better to reconsider a relationship. The artificial intelligence finishes by saying that if Jasmine still does not know how to deal with the situation, she can come back and talk to the chat again. The girl then decides that she has had enough and that now it is best to keep her distance from the guy. On a notebook page, she writes a step-by-step plan to distance herself from Damien without major consequences. Simply put, she just had to buy the coffee she promised, and then leave. Jas imagines herself buying the coffee and asking Damien if that would settle the matter. After all, what prevented her from buying the coffee on the day of the festival was the fact that he talked over her several times, to the point that the idea of the coffee was forgotten. As expected, the chat helped her find a solution to the problem, and she thanked the artificial intelligence for that. Taking the first step in her plan, she sends 2 messages to the guy saying that she will buy his coffee and asking if he is free the next day. At his house, the guy looks at the message, laughs, and someone asks why he is laughing. He tells the girl who is with him that he saw something funny and asks if she wants to see it. The day passes, and the next morning, everyone is at school. Damien sends a message to Jasmine saying that he will wait for her on the first-floor stairway. Sometime later, a few steps above, Jas watches the guy in a blue hoodie leaning against the stair railing. She says that it is good to see him again, and adds, asking that they keep their distance from each other from that day on. While he smiles at Jas, she thinks that, in truth, they were never really close to each other. Outside the school, a beautiful day was dawning, and Damien asked if they were going to the campus cafe. The guy says that there is barely anywhere to sit there. Jasmine did not like the comment and started thinking about how full of himself he is. She then replies that she does not mind that. The boy responds that he just wants to look at her while he drinks his coffee. The girl wonders if the guy said that just to get another reaction out of her. Trying to justify his desire, Damien says that he would like to drink coffee while looking at her because when else would he be face-to-face with a writer? He adds, asking her to hold a small object that, according to him, insists on falling out of his hoodie pocket. Displeased, Jasmine thinks that he is just showing off the wealth he has. But she only replies that she is not as famous as he thinks. Then the guy responds with another question, showing his phone and asking who else could have written that. When she turns to look at the phone, Jas wonders how he found the site where she had something of her own posted. The girl remembers the conversation with the chatbot and how it recommended that, at the slightest sign of discomfort, she could say that she does not like his behavior. Speaking softly, just to herself, Jasmine wonders why Damien keeps trying to cross the boundary line she set. Suddenly, the guy comes closer to her and starts talking. Looking at the girl, he asks if it is wrong for him to keep crossing the line. Confused, she can only think that his move needs an age verification. All of a sudden, she decides to push him with both hands. The push causes the guy to drop his phone, and the girl says that he promised he would not provoke her anymore. Lying on the ground and looking at her, he does not understand her reaction because, in his view, there was no provocation at all. Looking at the guy angrily, she cannot believe what he said. On the ground, he can only think that somehow he did something wrong. Still on the ground, he prays that his phone is not broken. When the boy tries to grab the phone, his hand meets the girl's hand. She kneels down, covering the phone screen and telling him not to look at the screen. The guy notices that she is not okay, and that seeing the site where she posted her writings was not a good decision. Jasmine says that they promised there would be no more provocations and starts to cry. Realizing the harm he caused, he apologizes and says that he went too far with the teasing. He tries to justify himself by saying that her reaction when she realized he had discovered the site was cute, and that was why he could not stop finding it funny, but that he will not do it again. Staring at the ground, she thinks that, between her and Damien, it was already destined to go wrong. Lifting her head and looking at the guy, Jasmine asks if he really is sorry and if it will not happen again. Jas thinks about how she is left speechless every time she looks into the guy's half-closed, half-open eyes. But all of this she did while her hands were still on top of the guy's phone. Only then does she realize that her hands were touching the guy's hands. Startled, she pulls her hands away from the phone and moves away from both the device and the boy, who laughs at what just happened. The girl keeps looking at him, feeling embarrassed. Smiling at her, he says that he should have mentioned that they were holding hands a little after their hands came together. She tells him to never speak like that again because she is not the type who falls for the smooth talk of guys like him. Jasmine adds that she did not even think about holding hands, but that having a coffee together, in person. Then she stops and thinks that in that part, she did think about it, and that she actually wanted to do that. Damien says that he thought about holding hands with her because he has feelings. Then he asks what interests she was talking about. The girl replies by asking what he meant by that, while at the same time thinking that she did not know how to react to that question because she had never thought about it. Standing up, Damien asks if that was her answer. After standing up, he places his hand on her head and turns her in a direction, asking where she is going if the cafe is on the other side. When they arrive there, they see a sign saying that orders are taken, but that they need to wait at least 10 minutes to be served. Damien asks if Jasmine is still upset. She replies by asking, "What?" The guy concludes that she is already fine after the situation with the phone. Then he asks what Jas usually does when she goes out. The girl replies that she does not go out much. The boy then responds that she is actually quite good at going out since a friend invited her. She rolls her eyes away from the handsome guy, and while making room for another girl to pass, she says that she does that only when it is just friends. But as she moves aside to let the other person pass, her right foot bumps into the guy's left foot. Smiling, he asks about a supposed boyfriend of hers, and Jas reacts with surprise. The girl then says that she already told him that she does not go out much and that she does not like crowded places. While she was talking, the guy noticed the girl's left hand holding her bag by the thumb. At the same time, she wondered why he always found a way to take over the conversations. As Damien noticed that about her, he said that he understood her in case there was some anxiety in environments with many people. Suddenly, he touches the girl's sweater and starts fiddling with it. Very attentive to details, he noticed that there was a fold at the ribbed cuff of the sweater. Gently, he starts handling the piece of clothing so that the cuff fold comes undone. Jasmine looks at the gesture, a little embarrassed, but does not interrupt the guy. When he finishes, the gallant guy asks if it would be okay for them to stay together alone. But Damien's question is followed by the announcement that 2 iced American coffees are ready. With her right hand, Jasmine places a cup of coffee in front of the boy. The girl says that with that coffee she is showing him, the debt she had is paid. Making the gesture to take the coffee, the guy says that she is acting cold. While he says goodbye, saying that they might see each other around, she just turns away, leaves, and thinks the opposite. Jasmine judges herself to be a calm person, even in the face of adversity. So even when her father's business failed, she did not show panic, but rather practicality and resolve. She did not want to depend on her parents. And for that reason, she did everything she could to cut off the financial help they tried to give her. Jasmine once said that now she was an adult and could take care of her own finances and her own life without outside interference. The girl always used her own talents to make sure that nothing would be lacking for her. Jas even wrote countless provocative stories to win prizes and spend her youth alone, to the point that people called her a hikikomori, that is, a person who lives in an extreme state of social isolation. But in the end, she was still fine. While thinking about everything that had happened and looking at her bedroom window, the introverted girl notices that it has started to snow. But strangely, on that particular day, she was confused about a moment from the previous days. A memory came to her in which Damien and she herself were on the ground, and he said that he had feelings. Until then, she defined herself as a person isolated from the outside world and who did not care about what others thought of her. So she never had time to reflect on whether someone was feeling interest in her. The girl came to realize that she had never before stopped to think about what kind of person she felt attracted to. So, for her, it was not so easy to digest the words Damien said at that moment on the phone. The girl remembered leaving and wondering why he was not leaving too, and just watching her walk away. This new and delicate feeling spread through her body like a spring breeze. And for some reason, she could not just stand still, and her steps only grew faster. As she became aware of what she was doing, she realized that she was already running with the beginning of spring. Suddenly, Jasmine has a realization. She remembers that she was supposed to start distancing herself slowly from that day on, not all at once. With a teary expression, she wonders why she is feeling drawn to the idea of staying there, close to him. Suddenly, her phone beeps. Damien sends 2 messages saying that he did not bring his AirPod that day and asks if she could bring it the next day. It does not take long for Jas to understand that her plan to distance herself from the guy failed. She might as well accept that she wants to stay close to him, maybe. Then the girl remembers that the boy, at the beginning of the meeting, asked her to keep a small object with her. It was the AirPod. Would he be an excellent strategist? Well, the certainty is that the guy said he will wait for her at the snack bar of the promotions club on the first floor of the lobby. Jas thinks that even though she removed any reason for the 2 of them to stay in contact, he seems determined to keep finding reasons for both sides to keep talking. After all, she thinks, he would not have given her the AirPods on purpose, would he? But the girl thinks she cannot take them. After all, AirPods are very expensive. Still, her hopes of distancing herself from him are not over. Jasmine soon thinks about leaving the AirPods at the snack bar right now while he is leaving, and then sneaking away. While running to return Damien's belonging, the girl bumps into someone. As she asks what that was, the guy she bumped into stares at her. Then he walks away, and she stands there, stunned by what just happened. Embarrassed, she realizes that someone is laughing at her and looks back. It was Damien. Surprised? He asks if, even hurt, she is still going to act that way. Right after that, he asks if she is not even going to look at him before leaving, and finishes by asking if her nose is okay. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Jasmine's plan goes to the stars. Watching the conversation from afar is the guy Jasmine bumped into. Returning to the dialogue between Jasmine and Damien, she asks the guy what there is between them after all. Why does he always keep teasing? And then a second realization comes. Once again, Jas's mind goes back to the day of the phone, with the two of them on the ground. She concluded that maybe he was teasing her that way because, as the chatbot said, he might be showing interest in a playful manner. Faced with that conclusion, Jasmine looked straight ahead, fixedly, and remained silent. While looking at her standing there, he asks in return what there is between them. She finally understood that Damien had been acting that way all along. He was not teasing her. Eureka! The girl remembers that the chatbot said something about people show interest in different ways. At that moment, all her doubts turned into certainties. The handsome guy was showing interest in her. She never thought that was possible. Then Damien asks what they are after all. Jas can only think that she has no answer and keeps wondering why he is interested in her. How should she act now? Then the guy extends his hand in a gesture that suggests he is asking for her hand. As she places her hand on his, he looks at her with a doubtful expression. The boy lets out a light laugh, and as she shyly pulls her hand out of his palm, he says that he was just asking for the AirPod. But let's pretend that she put her hand in his palm just because she was distracted and followed an instinct. The boy explains that it is not that he does not want the AirPods, but he asks if he can take the object once more, which is in Jasmine's hand. After all, what other perfect opportunity would he have to have non-committal physical contact with her? And so Damien does. While Jas looks at him, still not knowing what kind of reaction she should have in the face of this new scenario presenting itself to her, especially after understanding the real intentions behind the teasing he had been doing. The truth is that all of this is new to her, and from that moment on, something occupied her entire mind. The girl remembers when the guy asked her whether it would not be more interesting to have the real experience instead of just writing about it, and why she should not try it just once. It was all a matter of curiosity. Looking at the boy, she asks if she can keep them. He answers with a slightly mischievous smile. Then, both looking ahead, he lets out a laugh. Next, someone calls out his name. It is a girl asking for him. As the girl approaches the boy, Jasmine shrinks back. But the girl who arrived asks who Jasmine is, and in a gesture of warmth and closeness, he takes Jasmine's hand. Their hands are now intertwined. The real game, without any guide, has begun. The guy says that she is a friend, but the girl looks strangely as she notices that he hides the fact that they are holding hands. Upon hearing that, the girl remembers when Damien asked what kind of relationship it seemed like they had. She did not know how to answer, but thought of the word friendship. Returning to the present scene, the guy says they are friends because that is how Jas refers to him, even though their hands remain intertwined. Then he asks for her confirmation about that while releasing his own hand. Damien introduces the girl as Claire, from the same club as him. As they greet each other, Claire asks if Jas is going to their club's snack bar. The long-haired brunette says that she has been working very hard on the snack bar's presentation campaign, especially with Damien, whom she meets every Thursday to plan things. The guy says that Claire worked even harder than he did on this project. The girl says that anyway, Jasmine should visit their exhibition. Meanwhile, all Jas can think is that she only went there to return Damien's AirPods, and that her social battery was already running out. The girl thought that Claire would ask whether she and Damien had other plans, but instead she pulled Jasmine along to see the exhibition. While the introverted girl is dragged along by the other, the boy stays behind, wondering if he has been too extreme lately. He thinks, already admitting it, that he may have said and done things that are too much even for his own limits. But Jas's reactions are so funny to him that he cannot resist continuing. In the middle of the exhibition tents, Claire asks if Jas got all the information about the club she and Damien are part of. The long-haired brunette continues and says that the introverted girl can even play a mini-game and win a prize. Meanwhile, Jasmine only pretends to pay attention to what Claire is saying and glances at the boy in the back, laughing at the situation. She keeps wondering if he finds all of this funny, because she is only enduring all of it so as not to seem like her social battery ran out a long time ago. You can only imagine the effort she is making through all of this. A warrior. In addition, Jas also concludes that nothing changed even after holding hands with him. all while watching him laughing in the back. Damien's colleague asks the girl who is leaving to focus and says that to play the game, she needs to sign up for the club. Running out of patience, the short, black-haired girl says that she is leaving, but Claire makes an effort to keep her there. Insistent, Claire tries to persuade Jasmine by saying that it would also work if the girl wrote a positive review of the club's exhibition, recommending readers to visit. She says that the game they prepared is called Even or Odd, and in it, you need to guess the number of marbles in your opponent's hand by saying whether it is an even or odd number. Damien's colleague adds that the person who guesses correctly wins and that the prize is a secret, but that last year it was AirPods. Surprised by the last word Claire said, Jasmine decides to try at least once. Happy? Claire then asks why Jasmine does not choose someone from their club team as her opponent. Noticing that Jas is distracted, Claire starts repeating the girl's name a few times. Inside the tent, there was a box with marbles and another box with other objects. Next, Jasmine and Damien are in a room separated by glass walls, and she asks the reason for that. The guy replies that this is to avoid blocking the exhibition passage and that the other club members need to call more people over. Returning to the game area, she asks why she ended up having to play with him. The boy replies that, in his perception, the girl was staring at him, and so he concluded that she wanted to play with him. He asks if that is not a good thing. After all, out of everyone there, he is the only one she knows, and in his view, the easiest for her to read and understand. She can only think the exact opposite, that he is the hardest to read and decipher. But getting back to the game, she tells the boy to try guessing first, and he agrees. Starting the game, he says her name, which catches the girl's attention. Right after that, he asks if it is an even number. The girl is surprised again. He laughs and starts thinking it is odd, and then asks to see Jasmine's open hand. The girl thinks he is just making a fool of her. But anyway, all she has to do is play and make a guess. And she also thinks that he is trying to distract her so that she lets her guard down. But returning to the game, she makes her bet and says that the number of marbles in Damien's hand is even. He asks if she wants him to say the answer, and she wonders why he is always so relaxed, which makes her decide to change her answer to odd. The guy confirms that it is odd. She asks if that is really it. The boy says yes, but she, skeptical, thinks it is even. The guy then asks if there is no trust between them. She remembers that even was the first answer she chose. Next, she asks what all of that has to do with trust. The boy just replies that now it is his turn to guess. However, before that, with both hands together, he asks how she felt when the two of them were holding hands earlier that day. The question comes at a moment when he is at ease, and the girl seems restrained in her reactions and movements. While he was close to her, in front of her, Jess wondered how he managed to choose words that left her confused. At that moment, she could only think about whether he was really trying to leave her confused or impressed by some attitude of his. Not that she was not capable of doing the same. After all, Jasmine is an excellent writer who always leaves her readers speechless with the stories she writes. Returning to the moment of the game, she answers the guy that she was just nervous. And she thinks again that the nervousness is because she is having, for the first time, a real experience of something she usually limits herself to writing. Damien asks if she is being honest. Would she be capable of using words that way as well? She analyzes those two bright blue eyes that seem able to see right through her, his ever-present look of delight and intrigue fixed on her. She speaks to herself, saying that she knows how much Damien has been observing her and enjoying seeing some of her reactions. Holding an even number of marbles in her right hand, she wonders if the boy knows how much she feels in his hands, and how, in her opinion, he always speaks and chooses his words and ways of speaking because he knows exactly how she will react. And once again he asks, in a tone of assertion, whether she also knows how to use words that way. And all she can think is that it might be very irritating that she is the only person who feels that way around him. Jas asks if he does not like it when she acts nervous in front of him. She adds that if he does not like it, he needs to react to it, and she thinks that maybe this is not the answer he wanted to hear. Damien replies that he did not mean that, and that, honestly, his heart also became a little confused and admiring toward her. And it was there, in that moment, in the middle of a game of even or odd with marbles, that the boy realized he was starting to like Jasmine. The fact that the dialogue emerged so naturally. While he reflects, the girl asks if the number of marbles in his hand is odd. At the same time, she thinks about how indifferent he seems to remain after what she said about reactions. All of that meant that something had begun to emerge between them. Isn't love beautiful? or sometimes confusing. The guy then replies that, judging by her reaction, it must be an even number. And with that, she says that the guy also does not trust her words. At that, she wonders if there is any way to erase the moment when they were holding hands. Suddenly, the boy places his right hand on her left hand, which is closed around the marbles. Jas goes on alert. While opening Jasmine's hand one finger at a time, the boy says that she cannot run away from that. Showing a nervous reaction, she thinks that he is acting far too casually in the face of everything that is happening. He asks what it was that she said, and while still opening her hand, he asks if the action is also making her nervous. Tired of that, she tells herself that she will open her hand, and that the situation has become awkward. Revealing an odd number, she says that he won and gets the prize. He asks if she could help choose his prize. The prize was inside an envelope. 2 tickets to an amusement park. Perfect for romantic dates. With the tickets in his hand, he looks into the distance and asks whom he should go to the park with. Jasmine says that the choice is his. Laughing at what she said, Damien asks if he really has to say out loud whom he chooses to go with him, and adds that last time she said she was curious. The guy says that she should go home and think about it. To her, that was irritating. In another setting, accompanied by her best friend, Jasmine is questioned by Kelly about whether that means he wants her to go to the park. And she adds by asking whether that would be Jas's graduation, or would it be the end of the cold, robotic phase of the introverted girl. Kelly concludes that Jasmine was not as indecipherable as she once thought. Jasmine replies that the guy keeps acting as if he knows everything will happen the way he plans, and that because of that, even though she knows his intentions, she does not want to give him an answer. Her friend asks the robotic girl to, at least this time, just go along with it and ride the wave of what might happen. After all, isn't Jasmine herself curious? The shy girl only replies that Kelly is only saying that because she finds the whole situation funny. Her friend continues, saying that Jas has already crossed the line too much to stop at this point. Right? They even held hands. Kelly then says that, honestly, the guy seems so skilled that it is somewhat suspicious, but that if the girl does not feel comfortable, she can end everything whenever she wants. And she finishes by saying that relationships always start casually. She asks Jasmine if she and Damien are not in the talking stage. What else could it be? In another setting, there is a table full of food and drinks. A friend of Damien asks whether he and Jasmine are in the talking stage, and if that is happening with the girl he took to the exhibition. In the background, Claire, who is also in the setting, says that there is no way that could be happening, since Damien had said shortly before that he was not in a moment for dating. Another colleague, in response to that comment, says that someone is not going to leave the guy alone about it. Damien smiles lightly and says that he is going to leave. At another table, a guy with glasses notices the handsome guy and asks if it really is Damien who is leaving. The other guy standing next to the one with glasses confirms that it is. He is the guy who stole Larry's girlfriend, the guy from the drinking game on the day of the blind date. The two of them keep talking, saying that Damien seems to have a good reputation. The other says that he cannot be sure, but that the rumors he heard are exactly that. One of them replies by saying that there is no smoke without fire, meaning nothing is by chance, and that his success with girls must be for some reason. One of them adds that, honestly, he can see the reason for Damien's success. He says that he sees in the guy a decent, good-looking young man from a wealthy background. He finishes by asking his friend if he saw Damien's car. At her house, Jas is talking to someone on the phone. She tells the person on the other end of the line that a guy she is having something with asked her to go with him to an amusement park. The person is happy and concludes that it is a date, congratulating the introverted girl for making progress in the area of romantic relationships. Jasmine says that the guy was so light and gentle that it kind of just happened, and asks the person what the best move is. To go or not. The person replies that there are pros and cons to both options, depending on the perspective. The girl listens to everything while sitting on her bed in a Dalmatian print pajama with the phone held by a stand. And soon we understand that she is consulting her pseudotherapist, also known as a chatbot. The bot says that among the advantages of going on the date is progress in the relationship, since spending time together in a place they do not frequent every day can help the couple learn more about each other and grow closer. She finds the first advantage obvious, but keeps listening to what else the AI has to say. The machine says that she can gain inspiration because since she works as a novelist, the experience at an amusement park could be a great source of reference material for her work. The bot adds that an attractive person in an unfamiliar place is the perfect combination to generate new ideas. The chat does not need to say anything else. If the whole experience has the potential for creative and financial gains for Jasmine, that is all she needs to know. And she can only think about when she would have another opportunity like that again. But the bot continues. Now, with what could happen if she does not go on the date? It starts by saying that the more affectionate, delicate, or gentle someone is, the more cautious the girl needs to be. While looking at Damien's message on her phone asking if she thought about the date, she thinks about what the chatbot said about how someone like that may have an ease in steering the relationship in whatever direction they prefer. And due to the romantic nature of the park, there is a risk that the relationship could progress faster than the girl expects. The chat recommends that she act cautiously and try to find out whether he is serious about his intentions toward her or just having fun. While she reads everything the chat said, the guy is on the other side waiting for her response. She thinks that the guy is definitely hard to read. But on the other hand, not going means losing good writing material and consequently losing money. And being very honest with herself, she believes it would be fun to be with him at the park. Jasmine asks how she could know if something is wrong. The chat responds that first, she should observe boundaries. Does the person she is with try to have fun and respect her limits, avoiding getting too close? Or does he keep testing the limits repeatedly, in a push and pull dynamic? The machine says that if a conversation about developing a serious relationship comes up, a person with bad intentions will try to change the subject or leave the environment. Second, the chat tells the girl to trust her own intuition, because sometimes a bad feeling is simply her intuition signaling something that should not be ignored. She concludes that having something with someone is difficult, being in the getting to know each other phase. The robot that lives inside her is asking for some extra oil. The girl remembers the day when the guy asked if she does not write better when she goes through the experiences she writes about, and why she does not try to have those experiences herself for once. Jas is simply curious about everything this situation could bring her as something new. Because of all that, she says she will let Damien fool her just once. Finally, she sends a message to the guy accepting the invitation. On the other end, the guy sees the message and reacts with happiness and surprise. Upon arriving at the meeting place, Jasmine thinks that the whole situation is more unexpected than she thought it would be. D-Day for the date has arrived, and the girl has high expectations. In front of a mirror, the girl puts on red lipstick. Then she heads to public transportation and tries to find a place to sit. At that point, she begins to wish she were at home. As she looks for a seat, she sees many people already seated. Until, at a certain moment, she spots someone. It is the guy she bumped into on the day she tried to leave Damien's AirPods at the snack bar of his department. The girl holds on to the overhead support of the public transport and looks at the blonde-haired boy, wondering who he was again. Noticing that the girl is looking at him, the boy returns the look with a somewhat unfriendly expression, not understanding anything. Completely exposed to the boy's gaze, the girl turns away and concludes that she does not know where she recognizes his face from. He continues looking at her with an unfriendly face, still not understanding the situation. Jasmine receives a message from Damien asking where she is. Next, the loudspeaker on the transport announces to everyone getting off at Canal World that this is the next stop. She replies that she is getting off the transport and heading toward the entrance of the meeting place. The boy says that he is close to her. Amid the crowd, the girl turns her head from side to side, looking for the boy and thinking that he is nearby. Suddenly, someone appears behind her and says, "Not in front, behind." It was Damien laughing at the girl as she searched for him. Moving to stand in front of her, he takes her left hand and calls her to enter the park. She can only think that everything is happening again. He appears and takes control of the situation. As he asks if she is surprised, Jasmine can only think that he acts very confident that his methods of approaching her will work flawlessly. Following him, she wonders if other girls fall for his lines. Then she remembers that the chatbot said that people who are good with words can naturally guide a relationship in whatever direction they prefer. Remembering this, Jasmine activates her self-defense mode and lets go of Damien's hand, claiming that it is hot and that she prefers to walk with her hands free. He turns to her and asks if she really does not want to hold hands, saying that it is a shame. He adds that he should have suggested they go to the park on a cold day. Before she could be completely persuaded by him, the girl concludes that she should just do what she wants. And so Jasmine asks if they could go to a place she is pointing at. Soon it is revealed that the girl is referring to the uniform shop. He agrees and says that he has never done that before. Without saying anything, she is suspicious and does not believe that he has never done that before. Either way, she comes out winning. Her plan is going well. The uniform part is done. Now all that is left is for them to go to the haunted house together and then watch the fireworks show. The girl concludes that if she goes through all three experiences, she can use everything she lived through in the next stories she writes. Especially since it has been some time since Jasmine last went out, she wants to make that day count. But she had not considered one thing: that someone with a sensitive aesthetic sense can be extremely selective even when choosing a simple uniform. Meanwhile, the boy asks whether the uniform she tried on earlier did not suit her better. And beside her, another boy asks his companion to hurry up and choose a uniform. But she decides to focus on Damien and says that all the pants he shows are beautiful. The boy replies that he believes he would look better in pants with a diameter 2 centimeters wider, and therefore he is going to try some like that. Jas thinks he must be a psychopath because of this obsession with clothes. But suddenly, she notices 2 skirts on 2 hangers close to her. As she touches the hangers with the skirts, she thinks that the 2 look the same to her. The boy comes closer and says that the plaid skirt is the better of the 2. She asks if he has chosen something. He says yes. The boy goes on to say that he heard about the couple who were beside Jasmine earlier at a hobby club. She asks if it was that couple where the guy was asking the girl to hurry up. He says yes, and that the rest of the people there were all from the same fashion club. She responds by saying, "Oh," and he laughs, asking if it is not funny when she sees things from another perspective. And when Jas is about to ask a question, the boy interrupts, saying that everyone says they are in that space just to enjoy their hobbies, but that their real objectives are something else. Mentioning a brown-haired guy with glasses who was in the shop, he says that this guy was not even a little interested in the clothes, and that another person who was also in the shop kept steering the conversation toward a specific topic. Thinking to herself, she wonders whether that whole situation was not the same as on the day of the group blind date, and about how the guy had been even more blatant that day. And he keeps talking to her about how funny that whole scene would seem from her perspective as well. The dating group. With a frown, she wonders what that monologue of his was about and notes that he really seems to enjoy observing people. The boy replies by asking if there was anything wrong with that. Looking at the girl in a gallant way, he says that she observes people too. The comment catches Jasmine's attention. He laughs and says that this might be an occupational hazard, given who she is, and adds that the fitting room is empty. In the dressing room, she stares at the skirt with apprehension. She thinks that all of that really might be an occupational hazard, a habit that began when she tried to imitate common behaviors. And it was precisely by imitating those behaviors on the day of the blind date, and remembering how obvious the guy that day was in wanting to play dirty drinking games. Yes, she observes people, and even judges them, as she clearly remembers judging the guy from the blind date who was pushing it by hitting on one of the girls present. That is why she could not avoid reading him between the lines that day, no matter how naturally he acted, because Damien was observing people just like she was. But unlike her, he was enjoying every moment of it. And she starts recalling moments she shared with him that day of the date. The laughter, the game, the way he observed people, and how he struck up a conversation with her. "Back up," someone in the fitting room said, to which the other person replied, "I would, but my glove is stuck on the skirt's buckle." There they were, Damien and Jasmine, dressed in school uniforms inside a fitting room. Jasmine asks the boy not to come any closer, that she herself will free his hand. He agrees, and she tries to free his hand, but realizes it is stuck. And she wonders if that happened because she squeezed the sleeve of his shirt earlier. As soon as she manages to free it, she steps away, wondering if it is too obvious that she is nervous about the situation. The boy asks where she is going. He reminds her that she needs to choose a tie, and placing a striped one near her, says that it matches her outfit. The girl asks why it seems like he picked that tie on purpose because it matched. She adds that they look like a couple matching their clothes. The boy laughs and says that he sees no problem with that. With both of them looking at themselves in the mirror, the boy says that they look like a couple who met back when they were in school. As they look at each other, Jasmine remembers that the chatbot mentioned that people with smooth talk can guide a relationship in whatever direction they want. And seeing the situation, she thinks that he is leading everything again and asks that, if he has finished choosing the tie, they head to the next point of the date. Internally, she keeps reaffirming that she will not let her guard down that day. As they leave the uniform shop, the couple is met with rain. Jas looks at the rain in surprise and asks whether that situation is real. All that was missing was for her to ask what else could possibly happen. In her mind, she tries to remember whether there had been any news about rain. She even saw that something light might fall, but who knows when it would stop. At that moment, she began to think that her whole plan of using the outing with Damien for future stories was going down the drain, and that already at the uniform stage, things were not going the way she wanted. And then what was the point of all the meticulous preparation she had done? Of all the caution toward Damien? And the patience to endure being around so many people? In the middle of this, the boy watched Jasmine attentively. Near them, another couple was arguing. The woman told her partner that he should have checked the weather before they went out. The man replied that there was no way he could predict the future. Just as Jas thought, she and Damien were not the only ones in that situation. The introverted girl began to feel down. Suddenly, two hands place a garment over her head. As Damien puts the jacket on her, he asks whether she is a puppy or a kitten, and the girl asks what he is doing. The boy laughs and says that standing there doing nothing is a waste of time, and that he would rather put on a raincoat and try another ride. He asks what Jasmine thinks of the idea. The girl looks at him thoughtfully. She asks if he wants to go out and states that he would be soaked to the bone if he went out in that rain. In her mind, she wonders why she thought he did not like going out looking disheveled. After all, he spent 30 minutes choosing an outfit. Damien asks if she does not want to go then. The girl says that is not what she meant. After all, not going would take away future writing experiences from her. Then the boy, heading in another direction, tells her to hurry up. Jas asks if he cannot stay quiet. After running to catch up with him, she asks why he is the only one wearing something nice and why he gave her that jacket. Attentive to the girl's questions, he asks if he looks fine. She asks what he is talking about. Damien replies that he is talking about himself. The girl answers that he looks ridiculous. Looking at the people around her, Jas thinks the place feels a bit crowded. Jasmine feels ridiculous for walking in the opposite direction of the people using umbrellas to protect themselves from the downpour. Just like Damien, who was doing the same and encouraged her to do so. The introverted girl feels that she is going to lose sight of the boy if things continue like this. But for some reason, she does not hate the situation. Turning to look at her, he asks if all of this does not make things different. Noticing that the girl is wearing a surprised expression, he asks what is wrong. Jasmine is apprehensive deep down, but then answers that it is nothing. The boy then replies that she should write about situations like the one they are experiencing in order to stand out. He asks if it is not romantic to be caught by surprise by rain in the middle of a date. Realizing what the boy said, she suspects that he knows the reason she agreed to go out with him. Very clever. The girl replies that, in a place with so many people, she thought she would get lost. To which he responds by saying that he believes the two of them will get lost there all day. Finally, Damien asks Jasmine which ride in the park most sparks her curiosity. At that moment, she remembers the second part of the plan, going to the haunted house. When they arrive at the ticket booth, they are informed that there is only one ticket left. But she insists and asks the ticket clerk to check if there is any way to get another one. He goes to look for another ticket, and Jas asks the boy what would happen if there was none. Damien tells her to convince him. The boy tells her to say that they will be stuck together like glue. But the thing is, Damien says this into her ear, in a very romantic way. And the girl remembers what the chatbot said about how, in romantic atmospheres like an amusement park, there is a risk that the relationship will progress faster than expected. Suspicious, she realizes that the boy has gone back to saying things that give her chills. Meanwhile, the ticket clerk returns, saying that the park administration will allow the two of them to enter since it is the last round of the ride. The park employee adds, asking the couple to be careful not to bump into anything because it may be very dark inside. Jas, with a robotic look, simply calls for Damien to enter the place. The boy follows the girl, noticing that she is acting somewhat cold. As they enter the haunted attraction, the couple notices a sign on the wall that reads, 5 missions. Find the 5 clues hidden in the research laboratory and escape. Next, the two notice another couple inside the attraction, and the woman screams for her partner. Faced with the situation, Damien asks if she is afraid. Jasmine keeps an impatient expression and maintains minimal distance from the boy. She says that hearing other people screaming makes her nervous. The boy asks if she has that reaction, even knowing that people are not screaming out of fear. Jas remains silent, and when she starts walking, she thinks that he is asking that while knowing that her tension is caused by his presence. Without realizing it, she steps on something and ends up stumbling toward Damien. And when she realizes it, she jumps to the other side and the boy starts laughing. He comments that she was scared after all. The girl says that she had already said she was scared. Moving closer to her, the boy says that he was wondering whether she was afraid of him, not of things like ghosts. Once again, she steps away and asks why she would think he is scary. Deep down, she thinks Damien is playing with her and decides not to fall for it. The boy asks then what is going on with her. Looking at him, Jas believes that he is testing her feelings. The girl concludes that things cannot continue this way. In that situation, she remembers the rest of the conversation she had with the chatbot and about observing things such as, does the person you are dating take you seriously, or are they just using you for fun? And that the chat talked about people who only want fun, not trying to get closer beyond a certain point, or trying a push and pull dynamic. And that if a topic about developing a serious relationship comes up, the person who only wants fun may try to change the subject or take a step back. Jasmine's neurons could not stop thinking about things like how she should test him, even though the girl had no idea how to proceed. Although she was an excellent writer, the girl's field experience was insufficient to get out of that situation in even a minimally skillful way. After all, how do you test someone's feelings? The answer? She does not know, but she will trust her own instincts to get out of the situation in the best way possible. Suddenly, one of Jas's neurons makes a decision. Press the "Just Ask Honestly" button. After all, that is Jasmine's natural style. And she asks why he only says confusing things. And she adds that she thought that from then on, he would treat her in a more serious way. As the question echoed, she wondered if she had been too honest. The boy lets out a laugh and asks if she is confused. And right after that, he asks what she means when she talks about serious. Jasmine is caught by surprise because there is no answer to what he asked. She had not thought about that. The girl found herself in unknown territory. The boy asks what she wants. The girl hesitates as she begins to speak and starts recalling the interactions she has had with Damien since the very beginning. She says that she just wished he were as nervous as she is. From that point on, Jasmine decided to roll the dice once more. The girl says that she wanted him to find all of this as boring as she herself found it. She explains that, in her view, he should be wound up all day and be nervous because of her. Just the way she is and feels when she thinks about him. To protect herself from the unknown territory of some kind of relationship, she needed to know what Damien's real intentions and feelings toward her were. After that, a silence settled between the two of them. She wonders why he is not answering. It is so dark in the haunted house that she can barely see his expressions. She decides to move closer to him with a few steps, but in her opinion, the chances are low. She thinks that if he is being honest, what would she be planning to do with whatever comes next? Her right sneaker touches his left one. The first thing she sees is his eyes. When she sees Damien's eyes, she believes they are trembling. She hears him saying that he does not know what else he could show her, but she notices a change in his heartbeat, beating twice as fast. After that, a hypothesis begins to take shape in her mind. He says that whatever he is doing at that moment, he is doing it for her. But she understands that there was a feeling there that she had never felt before. She realizes she is in a problematic situation and asks herself what she should do. Jasmine had not thought about what to do from that point on. In the middle of all that situation, another sign on the wall read, "Beware of contact." Damien then decides to step in. Chapter 10. Upon entering a space in the haunted house where the girl was, the boy says that she is not the only one who is nervous. He says that, being honest, he is also afraid. And he adds that he was not teasing her because he was afraid, and that she promised not to tease him too much. Jas then asks if he remembers. The boy says that of course he remembers. The girl wonders whether he did not understand what she asked, or if he is just pretending not to understand. She notices the happy expression on his face and asks what is wrong. Damien says that they found a clue and that they can get out of there. The clue was a panel from the park showing a roller coaster and the following phrase, "Once you jump, you won't be able to stop. Are you sure you can handle it?" Outside the haunted house, the couple returns to the streets of the amusement park and the rain has already stopped. He asks the girl whether they should take a picture since they took off their raincoats. Beside him, she can only think that she is exhausted after everything she said to him inside the haunted house. After using the phone to take a picture of the two of them, the boy asks why she always freezes when taking photos. And she thinks, without saying it out loud, that being a social butterfly is hard. The boy asks if he can post the photo to his stories. She agrees. Then he asks why she is not on Instagram. The girl replies that she downloaded the app for a while, but then deleted it because she did not use it much. But she adds that since people do not stop asking her about it, she is seriously thinking about downloading it again. Taking advantage of the fact that they are talking about it, he asks if he should download the app for her again. With the app downloaded and an account created, the boy asks if he is her first follower because he feels honored. He says he is going to make a call, but that she should feel free to browse his profile. While looking at his account, she thinks that he constantly chooses the most annoying jokes or activities, and that he speaks with an unhidden certainty that she really is curious to know more about him on social media. Suddenly, she notices that the border of his profile picture is green and wonders why that is. As a non-user of the app, she did not know that this meant the boy was active. When he comes back calling her name, she hides the phone very quickly and he asks if they should get moving. The boy asks what she is looking at with so much curiosity. She replies that she was checking Kakao Talk. Then, as they climb the roller coaster, they continue talking. Jasmine, annoyed, says that he lied about not being afraid of the roller coaster, but she herself wonders how high the ride goes. The boy replies that she did so well in the haunted house that he thought she would be fine on the roller coaster. Looking to his left, Damien observes the entire view below and asks the girl to open her eyes to contemplate what he is also contemplating. The girl, clearly feeling sick, refuses. He asks her to trust him. Jasmine keeps her eyes closed and wonders how she is supposed to trust him. Not giving up, the boy insists, and asks her to trust him just one more time. The girl thinks about how often he says that, but always has control of the situation and steers their relationship in whatever direction he prefers. Remembering the moments in the haunted house, she starts to think that she was foolish to believe she would really get any interesting writing material out of that whole situation. Thinking twice, she calls him, says that if he is lying, he is dead. But she opens her eyes, and what she sees is enchanting. From above, Jasmine can have a clear and beautiful view of the entire park, and of Damien too. However, as nothing lasts forever, it is time to go down. And like any roller coaster, the descent is fast and spine-chilling, but Damien is definitely enjoying himself. As they get off the roller coaster, the two are standing in line and she asks if he likes the cute uniform style they are wearing. He replies that he does. Jasmine is incredulous because he is with her and says that he likes a style completely different from hers. She says that she likes a rapper style with baggy pants, big pockets, and lots of tattoos. As they relax, Jasmine realizes that they are getting closer. And even so, she still has not fully understood what his deal is. But they continue going on rides and having fun together. At a certain point, the couple goes to an area of the park where there are hot air balloons. One of them says that they are rising uncontrollably high. It was Jasmine. And inside the balloon where she was with Damien, she reflects that if a date was good like that, maybe it would not be so bad to let herself be fooled just once. She asks if the boy was not lying when he said it was fun. The boy replies by asking if she is having fun. Resistant, she says a little. He says that he is also having fun, and that if he had left the country, he would have regretted it. Jas asks about him leaving the country. And where would he go? Damien says that to complete his training, he has to be on a ship for 4 months and that he is leaving in 10 days. The girl asks if he is going to stay on a ship for 4 months. The boy says yes, and that he has been busy lately preparing to embark. After hearing that, she understands why the boy said on the day of the blind date group that his response time to messages is a bit slow. Right after that, he explains that that was why he was planning to use the amusement park tickets much later. But how could he say no after she asked to go? Turning her head to the other side, she says that then they will not be able to see each other again anytime soon. And she thinks that, in the end, there was never really time for them to get to know each other better. Just when she was starting to open up a little. The boy apologizes and says that he should have told her that earlier. When she looks at him, she wonders why he suddenly became so serious. Then she says, "What does that matter now?" Because even before, when he already knew that she was writing things, he pretended he did not know and teased her about it. Damien notices the change in her expression and asks what is wrong. The girl asks if he is going to tease her again about what she wrote. Surprised, he says that he will not do that anymore. She asks why. He says that it is because she asked him not to. Silent, she looks at him and then turns to the other side. Jas tells him to let it go. The boy asks if she is disappointed and if she wants to hold his hand. As she slowly brings her hand closer to Damien's, she wonders why she has the feeling that once their hands intertwine, they will not be able to let go. Pulling her hand back, she tells him to forget that idea because her hands are sweaty. And she keeps thinking that this is why she needs to stop right there. At the end of the outing, the couple returned the uniforms and were on their way home. Jasmine says that since they were watching the fireworks, now they are right at the time of the last bus, and therefore need to walk fast. The young man says that it is fine if they miss the transport because they can take the subway or a taxi. But the girl retorts that at that hour the subway takes too long and the taxi is expensive. and she also thinks that if she is still with him up to that moment, what else could happen? And that taking the subway or a taxi back would mean spending more time together. But on the other hand, they could take different buses. Wanting to change the subject, she asks why he was looking at his phone during the fireworks show. The boy replies that the fireworks were very bright. As they get close to the bus stop, Damien asks if that is not the last bus arriving. With wide eyes, Jas reasons whether from that distance they would manage to get on the transport even if they ran. He asks in a tone of certainty if she really wants to catch that bus. Damien encourages her to run because he himself starts doing it. Caught by surprise, she asks him to wait and starts running too. As they run, she points out that the boy's legs are twice as long as hers, but he replies saying that she is doing well. While they run, he asks her to look at the sky. Suddenly, she realizes that the starry night is just like the day they met and were running in the same way from the blind date group. The boy asks if running is not good. Then she notices that he is slowing down to better match her pace. But for some reason, unlike the first time, she keeps finding herself curious about his face, focused on running. As they run at a slower pace, their eyes meet. Jasmine says that she is just worried about missing the bus. But she notices that the boy is also looking at her. As a last resort, he then asks the girl to hold on tightly to him. She asks him to wait because he is going too fast, until the couple ends up holding hands again. As they get close to the bus, Damien tries to ask the driver to wait. To the couple's luck, the driver stopped and the door opened. Once Jasmine got on, Damien repeated what he had said about never being sure when the transport will actually depart. Saying goodbye to her, the boy says that they will definitely see each other again. The bus closed faster than Jas expected, but for the first time, the girl was smiling. And just as important as that, smiling at the boy with a sincere expression of happiness. After she went to sit down, the boy looked down. Looking at his right leg, he wonders if the discomfort came from a bone. On the transport, Jasmine asks herself why she ran so fast for that, and why the place she chose is tingling so much. On their phones, she and Damien exchange messages. The boy says that he is happy she managed to catch the transport. She asks if he managed to get his way home, and adds that she was worried because the subway station was a bit far. The boy replies that yes, and that he is safely on his way home. Jasmine messages saying that she was in such a rush to get on the transport that she barely said goodbye. He replies that it would have been nice if they had had more time together. The girl agrees in her own way, thinking that it was embarrassing that they did not have more time to stay together. Damien agrees and says that he wishes they had noticed that last bus a little later. When she sees that message, she thinks that he is doing that teasing thing again. But then she sends a message agreeing with him. After that, she regrets it and says that she is joking. The two start laughing through messages. Still by message, the boy asks if he should turn the car around in her direction. Jasmine laughs out loud and realizes that everyone on the bus is looking at her. But then she notices that there is another message from another person on her phone. The mysterious person is asking if Jas is going on dates with Damien. The girl immediately asks who is speaking, but she promptly has a bad feeling about it. After all, Jasmine was going through the most confusing days of her early 20s at that moment. The person only replied that, if she was not, she should leave that conversation alone and apologized for the messages that were sent. The introverted girl found that situation very anticlimactic and wondered if it was not just an ex-girlfriend of the boy who could not accept the breakup. After that incident, she realized that she was feeling anxious. But why? Then she remembered Kelly, her friend, when she said that when she decides something is not right, she can just stop. And if Kelly can do that, Jasmine can too. However, she saw that Damien liked her story at that moment. And also, ever since everything started, she finds herself curious about the messages he might send her. As she replied to the messages, Jas's curiosity about his routine grew. The two talked about various everyday things in each of their lives, until she started to feel curious and wanting to hear his voice. Jas wonders whether it is better to remain cautious for now before deciding to take a bigger step. She stares at her fish while, in another conversation with him, she thinks that he must be telling more lies. The boy admits that he tells some. Given the natural way he says it, would she be right to understand that they are becoming increasingly shameless with each other? She asks if saying that he likes the cute style was a lie, wasn't it? The boy asks why. After all, he really does like the cute style. And he asks where she heard that, and also if she cares about the rumors surrounding him. Jas replies that she does not, because rumors are just rumors. Damien makes a surprised expression, and she states that she asked because she is going to believe whatever he says. The boy looks impressed and says that it is touching that she says that to him. The girl gets a little shy at the response and says that he does not need to make her feel awkward. The boy then asks that they continue the conversation the next day because both of them have things to do. Lying in her bed, she agrees. She wonders why she feels like she is the only one getting more attached. All of this while she sees a message saying that he cannot see her on a specific day because he already has plans. At that moment, all she knew was that she needed to go out to take an exam, but she cannot stop thinking whether all of this has become just a matter of giving hope to something that will not move forward. Jas was thinking about all of this while she was in the middle of a group project meeting. One of the members said that acting like you do not care about the relationship but not ending it is what it means to give false hope. Another member asked what if the person starts doing that and real feelings begin to arise. Suddenly, a hand slams on the table. It was the guy Jas bumped into at the snack bar of Damien's club and also who was on the transport the day she went to meet Damien at the park. The guy, clearly in a bad mood, asked if the rest of the team forgot that the group project deadline is the next day. The people who were talking say that they remember, but that they are going to the bathroom. But Jasmine remained absorbed in her own thoughts, reflecting on everything she had just heard. Suddenly, some scenes of her and Damien in the haunted house at the amusement park came to her mind. And also what the chatbot said about people who do not want anything serious changing the subject to avoid things actually becoming serious. The bad-tempered guy said that apparently only he and she were left in the room. She stops and looks at him for a minute. Then he says that apparently the rest of the team ran away. Jas reacts with surprise and he says that no one is answering their phones, and that everyone who left seemed to be freshmen, and that he believes they skipped class because it is a general course. The girl asks what they will do then. The colleague replies that they will just do what they need to do, although he believes they will not be able to finish everything within the deadline. But she remembers that Damien said, in another context, about not knowing the result if they do not even try. And because of that, she replies that yes, it might be possible for them to submit the assignment on time, and asks what he thinks about the idea of removing everyone's names except hers and his, since he is the group leader. The colleague says that of course the names need to be removed. The boy's face clearly showed exhaustion. The girl concludes that he must be very irritated with the situation. The boy says that his name is James, in case she forgot. But she knows, because she memorized the names of all the team members. However, he says that Jasmine seemed not to have recognized him when the two of them happened to bump into each other at the snack bar. She tries to explain by saying that she was short on time that day. James agrees, kind of not really believing her. Jas, for her part, feels embarrassed by the whole situation. Then she has the idea of trying to break the ice with some small talk, and as a main topic, she thinks about talking about when a person does not want anything serious but does not make that clear. And then she asks the leader of the group project what the criteria are for misleading someone. He replies saying that the subject came up very suddenly. Faced with his response, she could only think that this was not the reaction she expected from him. Trying to brush it off, she says that the other team members were talking about it and that she just sent the files to him. And James thinks about going back to what the girl asked. Then the leader says that this misleading is when a person does not make it clear from the very beginning that the meetings are not romantic in nature, but you still give hope. At that moment, Damien ends up appearing in the space and surprising Jasmine. The two boys stare at each other until the boy she has been seeing smiles at her. Chapter 12. The boy comments that she seems different after all these days that they have not seen each other. And she agrees that it has been a few days since that outing at the park. She adds that she heard he is busy today as well. He says yes, and when he was about to start a question, looks back at James. The girl says that she was in the middle of a group project. He smiles at the answer and says that she has been busier. Then the boy asks if she changed her perfume. Jas says yes and asks how he knows. The boy simply says that he liked it and tells her to study hard for her exam. The girl remains in the room, thoughtful, wondering why she feels so disappointed. James asks her if Damien is her boyfriend. She replies that he is not. Then a flashback returns to the moment when Damien was leaving a place he had been days earlier, and two boys at a table were talking about him. The same boys who accused Damien of stealing their friend's girlfriend and who claimed that Damien has a good reputation among girls. And by chance, there was James, sitting and observing everything, including observing how Damien really was popular with girls and what the life of a boy capable of making any girl fall in love with him must be like. And returning to where he is with Jasmine, he even wonders, almost with certainty, who the victim of the time is. Yes, my friends, the story is getting more and more interesting. As the girl asks him for permission to leave, the boy remains seated, just observing what would be Damien's next victim running after him. Absorbed in his own thoughts, James begins to reflect on the old game of attracting, desiring, and then discarding. But then he only concludes that everything comes down to hormones, dopamine being released in the bodies of those who begin to feel something like love. Running, the girl calls out to Damien. When he stops, he asks her why she is there. But she knows that she can never say that. Subconsciously, she ran there because of him. So she says that her assignment is almost finished, which means that maybe she could invite him to do something. All of this while thinking about what her friend said about her, also trying to make her own moves. And then came the invitation. Jasmine asks if Damien would like to have some drinks that night. Despite the question, Jasmine thinks that the young man realized that she ran there just to see him. But even so, she was brave. Yet the girl notices that every time her eyes meet the boy's eyes, he smiles. Smiling out of the corner of his mouth, he says that he is busy and therefore cannot accept her plan on that specific day. The boy's response makes her feel even more anxious about the fact that they do not have much spare time to be together. And why is he so relaxed about that whole situation and about the fact that they have not had much time together for quite a while? In the end, he says that he will get in touch with her when he is free. But she cannot help thinking about why she feels that the boy is avoiding her. This sudden change from being very close to keeping a distance and at the same time not getting too close is getting on her nerves. Suddenly, the girl remembers what the chatbot told her. It's when the word date, in the romantic sense, is not on the table from the beginning, and yet you give the interested person false hope that something might happen. And then she remembers what Kelly said. You can stop everything whenever you want. After that, a verdict comes into the girl's mind, and she thinks that she should do something before she becomes more attached to the boy. But she receives a message from the boy asking if they should see each other the next day. Signed, your clever fox? Yes, Damien has good self-esteem. The next day, when they meet again, Jasmine is surprised by the reason why they had not seen each other all that time. Damien's hair. The boy explains that he cut his hair, but the hairdresser made a mistake, left it too short, and he felt embarrassed. Damien continues explaining that it is hard to get a decent haircut on the ship, so he needed to sort that out before boarding. The girl, after hearing all that, says that the boy's hair looks good, and she thinks that he just did not want to see her anymore. The boy asks if she was disappointed. In her thoughts, she knows that what she feels is the opposite of disappointed. But when he asks if she missed his presence, her lazy expression is clearly visible, and she understands that he is also a bit conceited. And if you want more, don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss any new videos I post. What are you thinking so far? Have you ever experienced something similar? Liking someone who never clearly said what they wanted? The name of this work is I Want to Be Fooled, and our recap went up to the beginning of Chapter 12. Kisses and see you next time.